teen male here. My dad married my stepmom just about a year ago. She didn't want me to live here and wanted me gone. I've insisted that I should stay as I don't want to live with my mom. Her husband is a piece of work, so we're always clashing. She announced last month that she wouldn't allow me to eat anything she cooks or cook anything she buys, and I should arrange my food separately down to the ingredient level including salt because I'm not her problem to deal with. This is annoying. But anyway, I can handle it and I didn't want to act entitled. So I started buying and cooking my own food. We've been going like this since then. My dad pays me for the food I buy, although my stepmother believes I should pay for it because I have an income. I eat separately because I'm not allowed to eat at family dinners. Her sister had an accident a few days ago. On the day of the accident, stepmother texted me in the afternoon saying she was bringing the sister's kids over and they'll arrive around midnight. She asked me to buy them groceries and snacks and make them a late dinner. I never replied to her and didn't do anything. I have to say that while for a few hours it didn't look good for her sister and she had to go into surgery, it ended up being successful and she'll thankfully make a full recovery. They came, she noticed there wasn't any food and they were indeed hungry. So she was angry at me and I told her that it's not my problem to deal with. And she said I'm being a jerk and I said it takes one to know one. So she ended up ordering pizza. My dad told me that I was out of line and I should have just done what she wanted me to do because it was an emergency, and I should have done a favor for her, and it would have gone a long way to improve our relationship. I told him that our relationship has always been hopeless because she hated me for no reason. So there's nothing I can do that can make her hate me any less. And at this point, I've accepted it and don't care anymore. He said it's not true. And now I'm grounded. So am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. You're not entitled. She set a precedent in the home and then she got angry when it came back to bite her. Your father's a real piece of work too. I could not imagine marrying someone who would mistreat my child. I recommend you get away from all of them as soon as possible. Yes, it's what she wants. But is it worth staying in such a hostile environment? Seriously, I was gonna say this as well. But if I was with someone who treated my son like this, they would be on their butt in no time. Also, if guests weren't arriving until midnight, the stepmother should have asked her husband to grocery shop and make food. Why ask OP after mistreating him? Because she's trying to manufacture drama to drive P out. What a nasty piece of work. When people say you should aim for fairy tale endings, they don't mean becoming the evil step-parent. Do you have grandparents or a decent aunt you could live with? I hope your dad realizes you will not be around to help him or stepmother when they're older. You're not allowed to eat at family dinners. Wow, how did your dad sire you when he has no balls? Your mother's no prize, letting her new husband scare her child away. I'd say that all the adults have failed you. Poor kid. How awful. I think you need to sit down and ask your dad why he has higher standards for you, a teenager, than he does for his wife, a full-grown adult. I'm a stepmom and I most certainly think it's my problem if my stepchild is hungry. I also don't understand why he'd marry someone who's combative and not loving toward you. You are a part of him and she supposedly loves him. So, what gives? I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a mandated reporter. If I knew more about you, I'd report her and your father to CPS. It's his job, at the very least, to ensure you're eating and being provided food, and him letting her do this to you was all kinds of wrong. I'm sorry, both of your homes suck. Story 2. The problem isn't my brother's choice of bride. She's great, and our family adores her. It's the fact they eloped and didn't have a proper wedding with the families there. He met his girlfriend at university. They've been together for 3.5 years now. They moved together after they graduated from university in 2026 days ago. She and my brother disclosed that they were married last Tuesday. They took the Via train to Belleville, got married there and returned the next day. They told everyone they got married on Thursday. They picked that random Tuesday because it was the first time since his girlfriend started working that she had 2 days off in a row. She began working as a nurse in a hospital in 2020. They said they don't want gifts and won't be having any other wedding stuff or going to any parties on their behalf because his girlfriend's still cautious about seeing people due to her job. The backlash and anger were so bad that my brother blocked me and every other one of our relatives. He told us, if anyone said a word to his girlfriend, they would be permanently cut off. My parents have talked to his girlfriend's parents and apparently their family feels the same. The issue isn't her family not liking my brother or vice versa. It's that they eloped. We're Mexican and her family is Italian. Both families are huge and it's traditional in both cultures to have big weddings. Everyone is so disappointed in them. And I know that when my parents met her parents, they started talking logistics because when they moved in together it ruffled some feathers. But the global issue made a wedding impossible. Anyways, I told my brother he screwed up massively. He had known there would be backlash and fallout when they told everyone. They said they decided to elope the same morning. They got married, they don't even have rings, and my parents were horrified that he proposed without giving her one. I understand she can't wear a ring at her job and neither can my brother. But the symbolism is still important. My brother lost it on me and he thinks I'm the wrong one. If you think about it, both families are large and not one person agrees with them also. Even though I'm not religious either, a church wedding is important to both families. And it's not just me, parents, siblings, grandparents, aunts and uncles are all furious about it. Am I the idiot? I was only telling him the truth and there was no way he didn't know this would happen. You are the idiot. First off, she's not his girlfriend, she's his wife. They're married, whether you like it or not, whether you were there or not. They did what was best for them. You're not entitled to their wedding. They don't have to have a wedding. They get to do what they want. They didn't disrespect anyone. Do you want a big family wedding? You can have a big family wedding. No one's obligated to invite anyone to their wedding. Everyone who's giving your brother crap is an idiot, that includes you. So you are the idiot. It's undeniable to see why he eloped. The families assumed they'd be able to take control over the wedding, and your bro and his wife had solid reasons why they didn't want the big wedding. Your families would have liked the way you're acting about him. The eloping shows. The couple was right. Trying to negotiate would have gotten them nowhere. So eloping was their best choice. This is their relationship and their marriage. Who cares if they don't want to wear rings? Y'all need to mind your own business. Other people's weddings and marriages are not about you. Even if they are in the family, let people live their lives the way they want. Right. That stuff about how both sets of parents started talking wedding logistics as soon as the couple moved in together, scandalous, just gives hives. I want to escape from these suffocating families just reading about them. Story 3. My husband and I, 45 male and 45 female, have 4 kids. Our youngest daughter has a group of about 7 to 8 girls in her social circle. They often have sleepovers together. My daughter went to her friend's, young teen female, for a sleepover, and there was one other girl, young teen, there. The friend she was staying with has a twin brother. After some renovations, about 2 years ago, he moved to the basement of the house and made it his boy cave. He plays baseball and tennis and loves sports. His room/basement is covered in all sorts of sports memorabilia. The boy also has games that has all of the consoles and plays video games with his friends. The basement also has a kitchen. He decided to renovate to be vintage at the latest sleepover. His sister and the 2 other girls went downstairs. The boy was out of town for a friend's b-day after the boys came home from the trip. The next night I got a call from the girl's mother explaining that her son had returned to a broken TV and stove. She asked if I could come over, and the girls were asked to explain what had happened. They started to tell their story, saying it was an accident and that the Wii remote crashed into the TV. And they didn't know what happened with the stove. There were inconsistencies in the story. We threatened to take phones away if they didn't tell the truth. So they told the truth. It was on purpose. The girls were mad at the boy because he refused to tutor his sister during the school year, telling her to study. The girl ended up failing the year and had to go to summer school. This led her to miss out on the stuff the girls wanted to do with her. So this was their revenge. They purposely broke the stove and purposely threw Wii remote at the TV. After that, we discussed what we wanted to do. We wanted the girls to split the cost of getting a new TV and restoring the stove. As we were discussing this, my son texted me a picture of one of the Snapchat stories my daughter had posted. The girls had also mocked him for buying some stuff like a big old sports water jug and the clothes he wore, vintage sports jerseys, since he got some of them at the Goodwill. We decided to take the boys shopping at thrift stores for the day while having the girls talk to the people who work in donations and explain why their services were needed to cover the cost of the TV and stove. We're making them do chores around the boy's house, including his chores and their own homes. They can also mow people's lawns and do other things to make money. My daughter called my mom and dad after this and explained to them how it would take her many months to work this off. And my parents called me and told me that I was out of line and should pay for the damages without making my daughter do chores because she's just a kid. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Great parenting actions have consequences, and you're a good parent for teaching your daughter as such. Tell your parents they raise an intelligent daughter, they need to support your decisions, particularly when they're spot on. Geez, what's wrong with your parents? It's not the boy's responsibility to tutor the girl, and he shouldn't be punished for saying no. The girls purposely broke the TV and stove, and they need to learn actions have consequences. So yes, they should pay for the broken items. What's wrong with them? Grandparents were fed BS by their granddaughter, and grandparents tend to be much more lenient with grandkids than their own children. What the girls did was petty bullying. If I were you, though, I would be cautious of what kind of person she's turning into. Her friends might not be the best influence. In addition, she could be taking a dangerous turn. Keep an eye out for her behavior and keep doing what you can to get her to understand how wrong this was. Story 4. So, I'm female and straight. This is relevant, and my friend Finn is gay and we're both in our 20s. So I don't care that he's gay, nor do most people, i.e. our friends, families and others, as we live in a pretty liberal and open area. The point is, Finn has adopted being gay into his whole personality. He's extremely over-the-top, flamboyant, and incredibly crude-mouthed. It makes people uncomfortable, not because he's gay, but because he's overbearing, quite crappy sometimes, and quite rude. I've told him before that he can come across as incredibly unlikable, and he always says it's because he's gay that people don't like it. But I've said to him being gay has nothing to do with it, and most people don't want to hear about anyone else's intimacy. I've always been able to put up with it, but lately he's been more exhausting than usual. First, we went to a busy and short-staffed coffee place and they couldn't serve us as they ran out of materials. So he kicked up a fuss saying that they were targeting him, and I had to drag him out saying they were short-staffed. We then went to another place, and because we weren't immediately served, he threw up a stink, saying to me once we were sitting, "I bet if I was straight they would have worked faster." The last straw was at my sister's wedding. His family knows mine quite well, so they were all invited. Finn made it well known that he loved the venue and stuff and kept trying to Instagram everything he was up in. People's faces kept butting in during important moments and upstaged my sister and my brother-in-law during their first dance and started dancing very flamboyantly. I was so angry. I asked him to leave. I'd had complaints during the night before this, but people were too scared to confront him, and the dance was the last straw. I met up with him a few days later and he was complaining, saying that people at the wedding hated him because he was gay and that I was siding with the homophobes. I got really angry and said something like, "Your whole personality doesn't have to revolve around you being gay. The reason people don't like you isn't that you're gay. It's because you're rude, overbearing, and exhausting to be around." I haven't talked to him since, but he's messaged me and accused me of hating gay people, and now I'm reevaluating our friendship. Am I the idiot at it? He also came out 10 years ago, so I don't think he's projecting, not the idiot. He seems to think he's the only gay in the village. From what you're saying, it seems as if he's just using being gay as an excuse to be rude, and he constantly gets away with it because no one wants to be seen as phobic. So it wasn't wrong of you to stand up to him. His behaviors are incredibly crappy and, like OP said, not related to being gay, just being a jerk. I mean, who tries to upstage your bride and groom. And I have little patience for folks who are mean to waitstaff. It sounds like he needs that honesty. OP gave him in some therapy. I'm sorry, the friendship is ending like this. You're not the idiot, you're far more emotionally mature than he is, and you can't keep trying to talk to someone who refuses to listen to you. Story 5. I, teen male, have quite severe autism regarding sensory needs. As a result, there are quite a lot of clothes I can't wear at all, and suits happen to be one of them. Loud music is also way too much for me sometimes, so I brought noise cores if needed. My brother 28 got married at the weekend, and the dress code for men was a black suit with a red tie. However, for me, he said it's okay if I don't wear a suit and bring headphones, look formal, and don't show up in any of the professional photography. So I did what he said. Easy, right? Apparently not. My sister-in-law 31 and her family were talking to me about how what I was wearing was completely inappropriate. It was a white polo and jeans. It doesn't sound professional. I know, but I tried, and how I was embarrassing his side of the family completely. Sister-in-law knows I have autism too, and struggle with clothing. Sometimes she told me I should have asked her first too, and I realized she's probably right. But I thought my brother would have considered both of them when telling me it's okay. Later in the night, sister-in-law was very drunk and started shouting at me to take my headphones off because it was completely disrespectful to have them on when everyone was dancing to the music again. I thought my brother had brought this up to her, so I just waited outside for it to be over. Instead of explaining the next day, I heard her and my brother arguing about it, and now I feel really guilty. I probably couldn't handle it for the entire wedding, but I feel like an idiot, and I should have at least tried with the suit of music. Am I the idiot for not wearing the suit and bringing my noise cores, especially if it caused this much of a rift the day after they got married? Not the idiot. You asked your brother also. There's nothing disrespectful about wearing headphones while people are dancing, but it is very rude to shout at someone for what they choose to wear in their head. And I don't even know if the word choose is what I would use in this situation. That being said, you do say you feel like an idiot for not trying the suit. A handwritten note of apology to the bride for the lack of suit only may help smooth things over and calm some of the guilt you feel. You're wrong. This P has nothing to apologize for. His limitations with noise and clothing are known. He's a kid and he did what he could to attend where he could handle the environment. Only a monster would be offended by this. Sister-in-law owes you an apology. Please do not write one to her. Agree. Imagine if he was in a wheelchair and the bride yelled at him to get up and dance because he's being disrespectful. It's kind of the same vibe. He definitely has nothing to apologize for. And if I were the groom, I'd reevaluate why I married her. Autism isn't visible on the outside, so people tend to forget that it can still be disabling to live with. It was up to your brother to give his future bride a heads up about this, and she shouldn't have been yelling at you, but the bride seems like a real prize. Don't worry, you'll have another chance at your brother's second wedding. I don't see this lasting.